Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Saturday, 25 October, in the year of our Lord 2025, the president is en route to Asia for a series of meetings that may be among the most important of his presidency, as he will confront to negotiate with Xi. That will be Wednesday night, U.S. time, approximately 10 o'clock. To probably is going to be a 2 or 3 hour meeting. 10 o'clock looks like to maybe midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. We are going to do it live on Real America's Voice, like these specials we've been doing from Israel and other places. We're going to do it live. The War Room, Real America's Voice at 10 p.m. We'll refine the time as we get closer, but 10 p.m. to whenever it ends, with commentary and observations, and we'll have the top-notch crew that we always have for these. Incredibly important. A carrier battle group now is off the coast of Venezuela, and a lot of consternation. The Telegraph, I'll get this up later, the Daily Telegraph has a great piece up there about how President Trump in hemispheric defense is finally throwing down the gauntlet against, wait for it, the Chinese Communist Party. He wants to make sure the Chinese Communist Party is not in business with dictators like Maduro in Venezuela. Although, right, this is being cast as against the cartels, and I know a lot of people are working on some sort of potential deal to get Maduro out before the United States has to resort to basically gunfire, because that could be a messy one, particularly, as I keep warning people, if the people in Venezuela are not 100% on board, you could lead into a civil war that the United States could get sucked into for a long time. So, carrier battle group in Venezuela. Witkoff is meeting with an emissary of Putin in Miami today. They're continuing talks there and hopefully work out and unwind this, giving authorization to the Ukrainians for long-range hits. A lot going on in Israel. I'll get to that a little later. But earthquake in Ireland, Bradley Thayer, who's been monitoring this for us, and we'll have a bunch of Irish folks on the show on Monday. How's that? We could have some Irishmen on the show on Monday talk about this. So Thayer, in this kind of gun-decked election, because only the elites can actually put forward who's going to run, so it's a total lack of enthusiasm for any of the candidates that are up there. I think it's 55 to 60% of the country did not vote in this presidential election, just rejected all the candidates, said, I can't be bothered. In addition, the spoil votes, which is something we've been driving with many of the people in Ireland, which is just to write something on the ballot to let them know what you think, send a message, but don't vote for a candidate, is anywhere from maybe 15 to 20%. Is that? I know it's coming into some of the bigger districts. So where do we stand? Is it 15 to 20% of spoiled votes? Another 60% of the country rejected all the candidates and just did not vote? Does that mean we're going to be around 2/3, 60% to maybe 2/3 of Irishmen are now standing against the political class in Ireland?
Yes, Steve, it's going to be, we'll know the results this afternoon, our time, but it's overwhelmingly that voter turnout is extremely low, which is a key sign. And then the spoil the vote, as you indicated, is ranging in constituencies from lows of about 10% to highs of about 22% of the votes cast. So it's indicating, of course, there's a tremendously significant result. The Irish people are fed up with what they've had to endure from their government, and this is a big step forward. So nominally, the candidate, there's a hard left, a communist named Catherine Connolly, who's going to be declared the winner. But the true indication and the true outcome of this election is the voice of the people, saying that they reject what the Irish government, the Irish elite have been doing. It's a rejection of globalism. It's a rejection of the establishment. And it's a very important step forward in Ireland, and should be seen as another development, just as we had in September, the Unite the Kingdom, Tommy Robinson's Unite the Kingdom in the UK, the remarks from the Japanese Prime Minister, rejecting immigration, and Trump's activities. Right, the West is tired of this. People are demanding change. Now, actually converting that into real political change is going to be the next step, of course, in Ireland. But it's a very positive development. Good news today from the Irish people. And
Great
Steve,
news.
just the last point.
Maybe we'll see it. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
You've got 5 million people living in Ireland. And of those 5 million people, about 22% are foreign born. And that's not counting the migrants, as they're called, who've come in really since 2022. So
Terrible.
You've had tremendous demographic change in Ireland.
Yeah.
The people don't want it.
No.
The ballots, many of the spoiled ballots wrote she was 10 years old, right? Referencing the rape of that poor girl last weekend by the migrant in Dublin West, in West City. So very important events today in Ireland, and positive step forward.
As an aside, the young girl in France that was raped and beheaded by one of these migrants, I call them illegal alien invaders. Her father died, I think, yesterday from heartbreak. Back to Ireland for a second. We're seeing the rise of Irish nationalism. It's not going to happen all at one time. They didn't have a candidate this time, so they rejected the poll class by not turning out. And the ones that turned out, I don't know, 15% or more, spoiled the vote. Wrote these messages about the young girl that was raped by an immigrant. Incredibly powerful. Of course, at the same time, man, Donnie, the Marxist jihadist, embracing a tearful presentation, I guess it was yesterday, embraced his Muslim heritage, and that guy's phonier than Obama. Better actor than Obama. Much better actor than Obama. The House, the Democrats in the House, I told you everything they do is around illegal alien invaders. Their press conference yesterday in front of the Capitol was to talk about an app they have to track all ICE movements in the country in deporting the mass deportation of illegal alien invaders. My question to Pam Bondi and to Kash Patel and to Kristi Noem, doesn't that make them accessories to crimes? Why don't we just go in and arrest them all? Let's arrest everybody in the House. All the House Democrats who are at that press conference, to me, should be arrested today. They're trying to provoke an insurrection to protect illegal alien invaders in this country. I think the president called it an emergency. Why are they not under arrest? You're going to have to play Smash Mouth, folks. This is not a afternoon garden party. And across the globe, they're going to throw down as hard as possible. We have to throw down even harder. Short break. Back in the war room in a moment.
Hello, America's Voice family.
Are you on Getter yet? No?
What are you waiting for?
It's free.
It's uncensored, and it's where all the biggest voices in conservative media are speaking out.
Download the Getter app right now. It's totally free. It's where I put up exclusively all of my content 24 hours a day. You want to know what Steve Bannon's thinking? Go to Getter.
That's right. You can follow all of your favorites. Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, Jack Posobiec,
and so many more.
Download the Getter app now.
Sign up for free and be part of the movement.
Thayer's going to stick around. We're going to talk about China in our special on Wednesday evening, 10 p.m. until whenever the Xi and President Trump meeting finishes here on Real America's Voice, the War Room. But you've got a couple of quick statistics I want to go through before bringing in Tom Fenton. Because the issue Tom Fenton is highlighting with this tweet he had yesterday and the actions of Judicial Watch tie very much to this. So, give me some stats on the vote overall, the direction of the vote in Ireland.
Sure. In terms of spoiled ballots, in the last presidential election that Ireland had in 2018, about 1% was spoiled. In this election, you're seeing numbers that are 15%, right? 15 times in comparison. Additionally, you have a lower turnout in this election. So that combination between greatly increased spoil votes. Many of those votes, of course, carried messages, Steve, that you've referenced. A lot of them voted for Trump, actually, as it turns out. And then,
I know it. So great.
And then further depressed turnout. This election shows the rage of the Irish people.
Amazing. Hang on, Dr. Thayer, you're going to stick around. We're talking about the CCP. In the Third World War, from Ukraine to Latin America to now the South China Sea and the Straits of Taiwan, and the economic part of it, because the Chinese Communist Party has a knife to the throat of the United States with these heavy rare earths. Tom Fenton joins us by phone. Tom, you put out a tweet. If you can just go through it, I want to put it up. If Denver could put it up. It's pretty amazing. I want to walk through what Judicial Watch has been accomplishing in regards to illegal aliens and their attempt to vote, sir.
Well, Judicial Watch has been cleaning up the voting rolls. The federal law requires the states to take reasonable steps to clean up the rolls. That means if someone is registered and moves away or dies or realizes they're not supposed to vote because they're an alien, they're supposed to remove their names eventually. And that has not been done across the country. And we were the first group to begin enforcing this law privately, suing privately to get the states to clean up. And in the last few years, it's resulted in 5 million names being removed from the rolls. I call it dirty names. They're dirty election rolls that have been cleaned up. California and LA, they removed 1.2 million names thanks to a settlement. In New York, we sued, Steve. We went in. They sued almost immediately. They settled almost immediately. They've since removed almost 1 million names from the rolls in New York City. We sued in California, in Colorado, in Pennsylvania, in North Carolina, Kentucky. They removed 750,000 names thanks to a settlement and consent decree. And it's just, in my view, the tip of the iceberg. In Illinois, they're not removing names. California, the rest of the state is a mess. In Oregon, they virtually removed no names from their rolls as the law requires. And the law requires not much, which is, if you don't vote in a federal election, they're supposed to send you a card. And if you don't respond to the card or vote within 2 federal election cycles, meaning 4 or 5 years, they're supposed to remove your names. They can't be bothered to do that. And dirty election rolls are kind of a way and an inducement and an opportunity for fraudsters, because it's a lot of dirty names under who they could possibly vote. And that's why federal law requires the states to clean them up. And the Justice Department hasn't been doing any of this. For years, Judicial Watch was the first one to do this comprehensively.
Now, Tom, the dirty the voter rolls that have these illegal aliens on them are the predicate of how you steal elections. This is why Democrats, because everything around them politically is about illegal aliens. But what excuse, when you go in and Judicial Watch has to go in and take its resources and sue, what arguments did these states put up and the Democratic Party put up for keeping illegal aliens, people obviously not eligible to vote, on the voter rolls, sir?
Well, there are no reasonable arguments. They fight whether we have the right to sue, and 3 courts have authorized our cases to go forward just in the last few months in Illinois, California, and Oregon. I just told you, LA County agreed to remove 1 million names. New York, 1 million names. They don't have an argument. We essentially come in and catch them, and they say, we say, you haven't removed the records. What's the reason? And there is no legal reason, and they settle. Illinois, for instance, they've got, let me look at the numbers here for Illinois, because people are going to be, because if there's one anecdotal thing, and I'm sure you see this, about people who move away and they still get ballots despite them being moved away for 30 years. In Illinois, or actually in California, they've got a fifth of its counties remove fewer few or no registrations under this law. 19 counties failed to report any data regarding registrations removed because of the death of a voter. Illinois informed the feds that 34 counties simply failed to report any data about removals. So what we're talking about is millions of extra names on the rolls, despite our removing 5 million. I'm guessing there's about 20 million plus extra names on the rolls right now. And these are people who shouldn't be on the rolls. And as I say, that's a pool for fraudsters to draw from. Does it mean they're all voting illegally? No. Does it mean they're all fraud? They're all illegal votes? No. It's just the opportunity is huge for fraudsters because of this problem.
I just want to make sure I got this. You guys have been fighting and using your resources. You have now 5 million names of illegal aliens off the rolls. You're saying your best estimate, you think there's another 20 million to go?
Probably, yeah.
Unbelievable. Now, is Harmeet Dillon,
That's
and
the
she's
back,
over at the
that's
Civil
based
Rights
on my
Division
memory.
now.
It's really incredible.
Is Harmeet now, since she's there, are you guys meeting with her? Is she picking this up? Is the Justice Department, because as you know, this is top of mind for a guy named President Trump. Are they picking up some of the slack there so we don't have to have Judicial Watch burn through your resources to do this?
Well, I'm not aware of any suits they filed to clean up the rolls directly. They've started asking questions about the names on the rolls, right? Part of their efforts is to get information about what's going on. And of course, the left is attacking them for doing that. So they're way behind. I mean, they're trying to begin, but as with everything the Justice Department does, it's really slow.
Tom, I know you're fighting on many fronts. Can you get us up to speed? What's the center of gravity of the current top of mind issues that you guys deal with every day over at Judicial Watch?
Well, you know, on the election thing, the other aspect of it is counting ballots that arrive after Election Day. We were just in the Supreme Court 2 weeks ago making arguments. And Illinois, they count ballots that arrive for up to 2 weeks after Election Day. And the courts there said candidates don't have the right to sue. So we're trying to get the Supreme Court to say, yeah, candidates can sue to stop an election from being stolen, which obviously was the big issue in 2020, as you know. And in California, they count ballots that arrive for up to 7 days after election. We found out there that there were 2 Democrats in the House because of ballots that were counted after Election Day. And if I were in the House, I'd be asking, why is that the case? We should be seating the folks who lost due to this illicit vote counting. Because federal law states you got to count the ballots on election, or you got to count ballots that arrive by Election Day. We have an Election Day, not an election week, not an election month. You got 20 states that do that. I mean, these are kind of this is low-hanging fruit in terms of ensuring cleaner elections. You know, make sure the rolls are clean. Don't count ballots that get there late. I mean, Trump mentioned it in an executive order. He said it's like someone showing up 3 days after Election Day and asking the ballots to be open, you know, the polls to be opened up again. It's not the way it's supposed to work. And then, of course, the other big issue, Steve, is where are the prosecutions? I know there have been some prosecutions, but not on the core issues about the FBI trying to destroy our republic last year. I don't know what's happening. I kind of do know what's happening. To the degree the Justice Department wants to do anything, it's hampered by their own internal machinations, the deep state, et cetera. And I keep on saying this, and you and I have talked about this before. The president has got to bypass the Justice Department and the FBI in these investigations of the lawfare against them. They're the agencies that did it, so they're compromised and conflicted. Plus, they've got so many bad guys in their midst, they can't even do it even if they wanted to, effectively, efficiently, and really quickly. And B, he has the authority, or C, whatever, I'm lost track of my letters. he has the authority to appoint a special counsel himself and run it separately from the Justice Department. I mean, I don't. How many stories do we need to hear about Justice Department prosecutors refusing to prosecute someone who they like, who is an avowed anti-Trumper, simply because they don't want to do it?
Yeah. Tom, hang on for 1 second. We're just going to hold Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch, who's nailing the central issue about the prosecution of the deep state. Short break.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Tom, one more time, I want to give your concerns about, because you've been the tip of the spear on this, on breaking the deep state. Your concerns are, unless a special prosecutor, and President Trump takes that directly to the White House, because he is chief law enforcement officer and chief magistrate, that it's just that we keep hearing about grand juries, but as you said, you're asking the same departments that did this to basically prosecute themselves, and there's tremendous resistance to this at the working level and embedded into the institutional history, because they hate President Trump and they hate the MAGA movement. What would be your pitch to President Trump to get more active and to actually designate a special prosecutor?
Well, he should appoint a special prosecutor who reports to him, not to the Attorney General, not to the FBI director. Staff him with, or her, whoever it may be, with federal law enforcement other than the agencies involved. And they would have to follow all the rules any other prosecutor would. I mean, they can't violate civil liberties. They have to follow the grand juries. All those protections are in place. But the question is, who does it and who makes the call in the end about whether investigations and prosecutions ultimately proceed? It should be the president in consultation with his special prosecutor. And the Attorney General and the FBI, they have a whole lot of other issues to care about. And to be fair to them, there's a lot else going on. And you see this internally, where the Justice Department is still protecting people. If you don't like Trump, you get special protections from the Justice Department as they try to derail investigations and prosecutions. And the judges, obviously, he can't control directly, but you're seeing it already. You had out with Comey and Tish James. They're already combining their vindictive prosecution motion into one issue, which is just crazy. They're two separate cases. So he needs to get the best of the best working for him directly, because once they're put into the Justice Department, there's a whole other culture and politics that go on that, in my way of thinking, is going to prevent full justice from being done. And that's all we want is justice. And I fear, unless something dramatically changes shortly, it's too late.
Tom Fitton, you are laboring 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as the People's Justice Department. Where do people go for all your content? You're putting up stuff on Instagram and your social media, sir.
Yeah, we're on Twitter at Tom Fitton, or X, I guess, what they're supposed to call it. We're on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, everywhere. The Judicial Watch is one of the most widely supported grassroots groups in the country, certainly on the conservative side of the aisle. And we're at judicialwatch.org. There's simply no one doing what we're doing in terms of the litigation and the investigation, and dare I say it, the basic education, because most of D.C. is based on allowing or hoping that Americans are kept ignorant of what the way the Constitution requires our country be run. And I just call them as I see them. The president's the chief executive. He's the chief magistrate. He should be running the prosecutions. We got election laws, and they should be followed and enforced. Everything else is a distraction to stop the Constitution and the rule of law from being implemented in a way that preserves and protects the republic. We've got to get back to the basics.
when you go over to, and I want everybody to go over and check out that's not a member, hasn't donated, or I'd actually start by reading what they're doing over to Judicial Watch. I'm going to give you the highest recommendation possible in the war room. After my mom died in the early 90s, I would try to, whether I was on the West Coast or anywhere, spend as many weekends back in my hometown of Richmond with my dad. And, he died at over 100 years old a couple of years ago. Every time I showed up late on a Friday night or very early on a Saturday morning, we had a cup of coffee and started talking and catching up. He would pull out on his kitchen table, which he always had his stack of things he was working on, his Judicial Watch newsletter. And he would go through page by page and drill me on what was going on. And he said every time that the donation, he was not a wealthy guy, but the donation he would give to different organizations, he would say, the best bang for my buck I get is Tom Fitton. Tom, there's not a higher, he was your biggest fan. Yeah. I mean, just incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great newsletter.
Tom, thank you.
It goes out to 700,000 people. People need to get it. It's great.
And it's incredible. You're so detailed. I mean, he was drilling me, and I go, "Hey, let me get back to you on that one." I know. I was looking for a commercial break.
Know more about the cases than I do.
That's the War Room Posse. No, that's the War Room Posse. I was looking for a commercial break while he was drilling me. Tom Fitton, love you, brother. Keep fighting.
Thank you.
One of the most important guys in our movement, Tom Fitton. I'm gonna move some things around. We got Thayer's going to stick with me. I'll get back to him on China. I want to get to Alex DeGrasse. So DeGrasse, here's what's happened, and starting next week, we're going to have you on obviously more regularly. We got 21 gross seats. This is not about the DEI Supreme Court, getting rid of the racial gerrymandering. These are ones just from the natural flow of in states itself, right? In the flow of people in states, in two states, demographic and geographic changes. There are 21, as you've mapped out, gross seats, districts that we can pick up now by fair redistricting. We got 5 in Texas because of the Warren Posse and Brian Harrison and the team at Patriot Mobile. California is about to get 5 back because California has been very inept. The people out there are great, but they're just not organized and they're not focused. And I hate to say it, and they're going to get smoked on. It looks like they're going to get smoked on this. So let's assume they pick up 5. The effort that you had going and we were rolling is now being thwarted by 2 things. Number one, states like Maryland and Virginia. Virginia's just come up this way. They're going to try to move their primaries back to August next year. When Spanberger's governor, they're going to do this. So you have Democrats that are sitting there going, no, we're going to actually gerrymander our states worse than they're gerrymandered now. Places like Illinois is going to try to get a couple of seats back. Maryland's going to get a couple of seats back. So this is a dogfight, as we always measure it. But more importantly, the rhinos and cowards in the Republican Party. Kelly Ayotte up in New Hampshire. You got the situation in Indiana, but all over, all of a sudden you're seeing, the Pence crowd and the traditional Republicans, kind of that Bush-Pence, Republican Chamber of Commerce apparatus saying, oh, no, this is too hard. So we're getting blowback from that. It is absolutely essential that we win the redistricting wars now, sir. Can you give us an update?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Steve. I mean, really, since the last time I was on, which was maybe about a couple of weeks, I mean, we've seen just a massive, maybe you call it a counteroffensive of just sort of, whether it be, like you said, Democrats moving to redistrict or put in process the seats to be changed this election. Obviously, we had always tracked what the following election that they were going to do, obviously in New York and some other states where they had some hurdles. But yeah, I mean, Steve, the posse has to dig deep, has to push harder. That's the reality of this. I don't think our guys are getting the pressure, light pressure. What I mean by that, educational, but I think we're gonna have to kind of turn up the heat rhetorically, of course, and really hammer these people, because you look at some of these statements that are coming out from some of these state senators and you want to jump out of a window. I mean, it's disgusting stuff. Oh, we got to conserve this, that, both sides. It's like, what the hell, this is crazy talk from some of these kind of Mitch Daniels, Pence, type people. You've got the issue in New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, we spoke clearly. I mean, the legislator has the power to put this thing through without the governor. There's absolutely zero reason why anyone should be listening to whatever she has to say. Okay. I mean, we would have had a seat already, newsflash, if Sununu didn't veto the first time during the normal redistricting process. He actually, people forget it, he vetoed the bill to pick up one seat, which is, a disaster, I think, for his family name and should be talked about. We can't afford any error here because the reality is every seat's going to count. We need to be picking up this. Obviously, I think Florida's good to go. Some of these are good to go. Some of these are holding to see what happens with, the VRA case of the Supreme Court, and they think that, like Florida, they have the time to move and kind of do one bite at this as maximum as possible. And I understand that. But for these ones where we're not getting any movement, Indiana, obviously, I think North Carolina is looking positive, but New Hampshire, those are kind of two key areas. That's 3 seats right there that we really need to kind of get in the door. So people got to dig deep. You got to go up, go on X. I'm going to be putting some information on who to call and what's going on, and we've got to get after it ASAP. And primary these people, frankly, if they won't.
This is my point. We gotta start getting tough and play fire with fire. Give me an example of the Mitch Daniels and what are they? These state senators? Just reiterate to the audience to get their blood boiling, so they reach for put another pot of Warpath coffee on. Just give some of the examples of some of the mealy mouth excuses. We're in the middle of a political war, okay, and we have guys that are sitting there so smugly and so high and mighty. Give a couple examples like Mitch Daniels and that crew.
Yeah, McDaniels has come out. We have to resist the pressure from the White House. They're making this about Trump, which this is okay. Making this about Trump, and we don't report to anyone, and of course, and some other guys are saying, hey, we have to conserve our values, and that requires equal whatever on all sides. And how would we feel if Democrats did this, that? Hey, newsflash, Democrats have been killing us for years at this front. Wake up. I know it must be nice in Indiana and you've got nice stuff there, nice Republican stuff, but it means nothing if we can't get this done and we can't ensure that Indiana voters are properly represented in Congress, because they've been deluded, obviously, through illegal immigration in other states and how this thing has been totally rigged across the board. I mean, the people of Indiana are hurt in the current sense as they have poor representation, sort of, you understand what I mean, sort of equally out compared to everyone else, because they've got these 2 Democrats each, which they don't need in any capacity. And this is not gerrymandering. This is fair representation for a state that's heavily MAGA among the people. I've never seen more hardcores since when I went out to Indiana and we were out there with the grassroots. It's unbelievable. Yeah. People really have to do a deep dive in their state representative in these seats. You need to call, you need to ask what their position is, look it up online. We'll be putting them out on X. Because some of these guys are just an absolute disaster. And that is the biggest enemy when you look at it, Steve, that to our progress. Something that you and the show have been talking about since Donald Trump went down the escalator, all of us, right? I mean, the enemy within our party, the rhinos, the globalists, the establishment that will stop at nothing really to stop us, and are totally agents of the Democrat establishment. There's no other way to look at it. I mean, who cares if there's 2 seats Democrat? What does it affect some state senator in some part of Indiana? I mean, why are they feel the need to say all this nasty stuff about the president and, all this stuff? I mean, it's something weird is going on, and the Democrats are putting in millions. I mean, you look at Virginia, Steve, the Democrat Trust, which is Redistricting Trust, which is a totally dark-minded group run by Eric Holder that Obama's been raising money to. Key situation here. They're dumping millions of dollars into Virginia, okay, because they understand now that they're going to get these lines redrawn. The Democrats don't care. They're smashing us all over the place on this stuff, okay? People need to get a handle on this and get going now. We will not withstand what is coming in the next 2 years if we don't make progress in the next couple months. Full stop. We will actually lose this fight. We will come off worse. I hate to. I mean, I'm not trying to. I'm speaking truth. Unfortunately, this is no. People need to get this in their head.
Hang on one second. We're going to drill down to this on some more to make sure that we identify who's slowing us down. Short break. Back in a moment.
We will fight till they're all gone. We rejoice when there's no more. Let's take down the CCP.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Of course, the world is turbulent. President Trump's trying to stop the Third World War, both the kinetic part and the economic warfare. We're going to be live 10 o'clock this week, this Wednesday, approximately. We'll obviously refine it as we get closer. President Trump's going to sit down with President Xi of China, the dictator of China, to try to work out a trade deal and, as importantly, the rare earths. Birchgold.com, easy way to do this. Take your phone out and text Bannon 989898 to get the ultimate guide for investing in gold and precious metals in the age of Trump. Do that. Talk to Philip Patrick. And Philip Patrick's going to be here at the bottom of the next hour for 30 minutes. We're going to go through some breaking news about gold in the gold market. DeGrasse, real quickly, New Jersey early voting. You got any updates for us? Scott Presser was going to try to join us, but he is out and about on fire on early voting today. Any assessment?
Well, it's looking really tight. I think it's been up and down race. I will say we've got to dig in deeper, Steve. I mean, numbers I've seen, these ads against Chitterelli, which are false and just come to show how vicious the Democrats are, I think have really done a number on us. But that doesn't matter ultimately. If our people come out, we win. And so I think there's a couple key metrics right now. Obviously, the low propensity we're MAGA, that's the key here. And they're coming out at a higher number. And we have to push that another 3 or 4 percentage points. You've got running 3 or 4 points ahead on the mail ballot requests. Remember, we saw about there's requests and return rate. We got to win both of those, right? Our people have to return the ballots that we have at a higher rate than them. We also need to request the ballots based off Republican or Democrat at a higher rate. And so right now we're about tied. It's 51.5% of people that have a mail ballot have returned it as a Republican, and the Democrats are at 52. At this point in 2024, Democrats were pushing 59% return. Our people were at about 55. And so with the 4% delta. And so when you look at that, we're outrunning by about 3 points, which is helpful, but it's also obviously not enough, Steve. I mean, we will have to come down to not only fighting every day to turn out voters in this early vote period, which goes through November 2nd, but we will need to flood election day like no one's ever seen before. And so, get on the Turning Point apps, get with Scott Presser, early vote action, get out there, tons of people. This is the weekend of action. This is the weekend. And then obviously next weekend on the early vote. And you got to text everyone, you got to get your list. You got to get it down. You got to get out to vote. Even if you don't live in New Jersey, if you know anyone that lives there, check in with them, make sure they vote. It's a huge turnout game. You win New Jersey, you shock the whole thing. You set New York up for a huge victory. Yes. I think what's happening in the city is interesting. I think you see Mamdani taking on a bit of water. He's obviously propelled by foreign-born voters, newsflash, where he's leading with them by about 50, 60 points. So things are hot all over the place, but this is a major weekend of action. So I'm glad Pressler's out there and everyone else. God bless. And we'll get this done if everyone votes. And then we'll come back and we'll go deep dive on all these.
Okay, starting Monday, you're going to do deep dive. This weekend, you'll be putting stuff up on your Twitter about the early vote. Where do they go, DeGrasse?
At DeGrasse, anyone on X, on Instagram, Getter, and all that. Thank you, Steve, and let's make sure we get the vote out.
Who's got get the vote out now? New Jersey could shock the world, and who wins? And of course, Mamdani. That thing is a completely rigged deal. Whoever wins the redistricting wars now will win the midterms in 2026. We've said that. We've been on here pounding that. We'll have you back on Monday. DeGrasse, get back to work, sir. You're a grinder.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I'm in the office.
Only warriors in the war room. Dr. Bradley Thayer, we're going to real quickly on Xi. We're going to come back. We're going to have you do through the week. Captain Fennell, people from the Committee on the Present Danger, on what's happening in Venezuela, and particularly this historic trip of President Trump. I think maybe the most extended trip, I think, of his presidency, and probably the most important. Your thoughts, sir?
It is, and matters are now at a head, where Xi is doing everything he can do to, as he puts it, right, develop a strategy to advance the new quality production forces to reshape the global competitive landscape. What that means in English is he's developing a strategy to win AI. Quantum computing, biotech, many other related technologies are important, but AI is everything for Xi Jinping because he's looking on technology, AI technology specifically, to ensure that there's economic growth in communist China. So, this is why we're Besset obviously is in Malaysia, meeting with the Chinese, talking through these issues. he's got the knife to our throat on the rare earths, obviously, and magnets. We need to recognize that and respond accordingly. He needs our chips. Steve, you'll remember the debate we had this summer over the NVIDIA, the H20 chips, and the agreement that was reached there. All right, we need to cut them off. No more investment from our AI. No more STEM, right? No more students. No more money. No more technology. He's declared economic war against us, and we need to respond accordingly. And we'll see. This is why the meeting on Thursday, South Korean time, is so important, because the matters at ahead, and Xi Jinping is coming off of a very important meeting, plenary session, fourth plenary session this week. So he's got muzzle velocity, and he's not going to be in a mood to compromise with Trump. So there are going to be fireworks.
Yeah, all the people said that there was all these firings and letting go, and this is there's a revolt. It's just, that was dead, 100% wrong. She is coming at this, and their strategy, the Wall Street Journal had it: punch hard and don't give an inch. They're coming for President Trump. They think they got a winning formula, and they think they have leverage between TikTok and between the heavy rare earths and the magnets. They think they got us. They do. Trump's going to figure a way out. That's why we're going to cover it live and be up with people all week to tee up this historic meeting between the dictator that runs China and the president of these United States. Thayer, where do people go to get your writings and social media all weekend?
Yes, Steve, thanks very much. Brad Thayer on X and Bradley Thayer on Getter and Truth. Thank you, Steve.